Beautiful day here in New York City, 7:50 in the morning on the East Coast. Voters in a handful of states went to the polls yesterday. NBC News national political correspondent Steve Kornacki over at the big board to break down the big results for us. Steve, good morning. I understand you're starting us off in Colorado. What happened there?
Yeah, so a mixed bag, I'd say, when you take Colorado and a few other states when it comes to Trump-aligned candidates yesterday. The issue of January 6th still in Republican primaries, and also a mixed bag when it comes to something new we've seen this primary season, and that is Democrats spending massively trying to influence Republican primary results. So Colorado is a great place to start with that. What you're looking at here is the Republican Senate primary in Colorado. Winner of this, and the winner is Joe O'Dea, is going to go on to the general election to face Democratic incumbent Michael Bennet. Now, the distinction here between O'Dea and Hanks was pretty stark on a couple of issues, notably the 2020 presidential election. O'Dea said the 2020 election was on the level. He accepted Biden as the legitimate winner of the 2020 election. Ron Hanks, his opponent, a state legislator in Colorado, actually attended Donald Trump's speech in D.C. on January 6th, was part of that crowd that marched to the Capitol. So that was one of the distinctions between them. There was also a distinction on the issue of abortion. O'Dea calling himself pro-choice, Hanks sponsoring legislation that would ban abortion in all cases, including rape and incest. So O'Dea was the candidate national Republicans were hoping would win this primary. They believe him to be more electable. Democrats, meanwhile, spent millions of dollars trying to elevate Ron Hanks in this primary, believing that if they could get Hanks nominated, that would make this a much safer seat for Michael Bennet. But you could see O'Dea wins the primary. O'Dea advances to the general election. Colorado's one of those states that's been getting blue over the last decade or so. But in a climate like 2022, be interesting to see if O'Dea can give Bennet a real run and put this race on the map in the general election. One other race of note, I think, in Colorado, we've been saying we usually don't talk. I've been doing this since 2014 about Secretary of State races, but obviously in the wake of the 2020 election, we've seen how important the office of Secretary of State is. The Republican primary in Colorado for Secretary of State. This is a very interesting one here. You've got the winner here, Pam Anderson. She's a former county clerk, and she said she got into this race because she did not like the claims of electoral fraud that some of her fellow Republicans were advancing. That includes Tina Peters. You could see Tina Peters lost last night. She is the county clerk in Mesa County. That's where Grand Junction is. Peters is currently under indictment for allegedly tampering with voting machines to try to prove that the 2020 election was stolen. So this was a fascinating matchup in a race for Secretary of State on the Republican side. And again, the candidate who said the 2020 election was legitimate wins that primary. So I say notable results there in Colorado. But when I say a mixed bag for the Trump-aligned candidates, take a quick trip over to Illinois, and something very different happened over here. Here in the Republican primary for governor, the Trump-backed candidate, Darren Bailey, wins overwhelmingly against Richard Irvin. He was sort of the moderate Republican candidate. Irvin wouldn't even say if he had voted for Donald Trump. Trump came in at the end, voted for, endorsed Bailey in this race. And by the way, this is another one of those races. Democrats, J.B. Pritzker, the Democratic governor running for re-election, Democratic Governors Association, they spent upwards of $30 million trying to prop up Bailey in this primary, and they did get their way in this one. And quickly, just one other race of note here in Illinois on that Trump issue. Two Republican incumbents pitted against each other by redistricting. Mary Miller, freshman Republican congresswoman, she backed Trump's claims on the 2020 election. She defeats Rodney Davis, a Republican incumbent who voted to certify the 2020 election. Miller defeats Davis in that incumbent versus incumbent Republican primary. She had Trump's backing.
Steve, big picture, last night you had some candidates who were not election deniers who persevered, like the Secretary of State position in Colorado. What other races do you think were the big flashpoints for democracy last night?
Yes, I mentioned you got Miller here. This is probably the result that Donald Trump is most pleased with. He had that rally for Miller the Saturday before the election. Again, Davis had voted to create the bipartisan January 6th commission. He'd voted to certify the 2020 election. Miller's words were, she said that those votes votes by Davis amounted to stabbing Trump supporters in the back, and she does get the victory in this primary. One other interesting result I'd point to here, got to go out of the map there for a minute. This is, Elise, you would know, this is your neck of the woods, Mississippi here, the 3rd District of Mississippi. This was a bit of a surprise last night. Michael Guest is an incumbent Republican congressman. He was forced into a runoff against his challenger, Michael Cassidy, a few weeks ago. Cassidy actually got more votes in the preliminary. Guest had voted for the creation of the bipartisan 1-6 commission. It was why he was forced into a runoff. A lot of people thought he was going to be a loser yesterday. Look at the final result. He ended up turning the tables on Cassidy in a big way in the runoff. A lot of money came in on behalf of Guest. He was able to flood the airwaves with attacks on Cassidy. But Guest, after being endangered by that vote for the January 6th commission, ends up surviving the runoff yesterday in Mississippi. I think this was the biggest surprise, actually, of results yesterday.
Before we let you go, Steve, Andrew Giuliani, son of Rudy Giuliani, was running for governor in the state of New York. How'd he do?
Yes, he was running for governor of New York. He no longer is because he was defeated in the Republican gubernatorial primary in New York by Congressman Lee Zeldin. You can see about a 2-to-1 margin there. Zeldin wins the Republican nomination. Obviously, Giuliani had leaned into a lot of the claims of Trump, of his father, about Trump in the 2020 election. Zeldin, who had started as more of a moderate Republican congressman, had leaned a bit in that direction. He's one of those congressmen who voted not to accept the 2020 presidential election results. Zeldin, the Long Island congressman, defeats Giuliani. He will now face in the general election Kathy Hochul, the governor who ascended to the office when Andrew Cuomo was forced out last year. Hochul easily fending off 2 challengers on the Democratic side. So it'll be Lee Zeldin, Kathy Hochul. That'll be the race for governor of New York.
We'll be watching. NBC's Steve Kornacki, thanks so much as always. Great job at the big board. Coming up.